Hello, everyone. My name is Oluwafemi Adeyeye, and I'm here to discuss my project, which is analyzing the July 2024 CrowdStrike incident um, that happened across globe. I'm going to be talking about the causes, the implication, and preventive measures to take place. All right. Now, I'm going to be explaining the objective also, which is to explain the failure and the CrowdStrike incident, the technology involved, and the proposed recommendation for preventive and future occurrences. I'm going to also be explaining what happened, why is this significant, and the purpose of this analysis. Now, who is CrowdStrike? CrowdStrike is a company that provides cybersecurity protections, right? And it's good to know that this updates they released happened July 19, 2024, and which is always like part of their regular efforts to keep the system secure. Now, this update was supposed to help their software detect like new types of cyber threats, by gathering informations on them. Now, these updates they released had issues, right? Specifically, the problem was with the rapid response content, which is part of the updates. And it's always like a quick way to like send out new detections rules to deal with like the emerging threats. Now I'm going to explain that. I'm also going to explain like the types of updates they release. Now, the impact of this crash is that it's affected a lot of businesses globally, like even airlines, a lot of things, where airlines, were affected. Even at my working place, we're also like really, really affected. Now, the the faulty updates caused many Windows computers to crash. The crash happened on devices that, were using a specific version of the CrowdStrike security software. And this happened between like, I think 4 p.m., 5 p.m. UTC on July 19, 2024. Now, it's very key thing to note that it only happened on Windows systems. That is, those that Windows systems was affected. Hapumu were not affected, systems using Linux did not experience any of these issues. Now, how the CrowdStrike updates work. Now, there are two types of updates which they send out. Now, one is the sensors content updates, and the second one is the rapid response content updates. I would just like to give like background before we now go deep dive, into providing solutions. I want us to understand it very well. Now, for the sensors content updates, this like software runs on our computer. These are updates that come with the Falcon sensor, right? And they are planned ahead of time. Now, the rapid response is way faster, and that's the one that affected a lot of it. It's way faster. Um, and these are more like reactive updates that can quickly like add like new detection capabilities without changing the core software. Now they are used to like they are used to quickly respond to new threats that have been like that have been discovered. Now the specific issue is that the problem came from this rapid response, and because it's quick, it affected a lot of businesses worldwide. Now something went wrong in the validation like process. Checks they do to make sure the update is safe and like works well. Just like the validation process, something really went on, and the faulty updates were sent out. So which crashed, which caused a lot of Windows system to really, really crash. But CrowdStrike tried to send like a quick update to improve security, but due to an error in the update, just the summary. They tried to send a quick update to improve security, but due to an error, I think it's like a line of code, that had error. Due to this error in the update, many Windows crashed, and this problem only affected people that were using, the Windows system, and they had that specific version of CrowdStrike software installed on the system. Just like I mentioned, the failure happened due to that particular version of the rapid update. So it affected everybody that was using the version 7.11 and above. And then this, the validation was wrong, and it affected a lot of businesses globally. Now, this is just, in this presentation, is just more like in this failure analysis, just more buttresses, who it affected, and a lot of things like that. Like the content validation failure happened through the rapid response content updates. It had an error. Also, the second part is the memory handling issues, which is out of bound memory read caused by problematic content data. And then the last part, which is a deployment process, deployment process update. Now, the consequences of all of this is that a lot system crashes, affected millions of devices, right? And that's the number one. And it's really globally. So it's not just USA alone, it happened in different countries. The second was disruption of services, airlines, and due to all of this, cost like a lot of people, losing money, businesses losing money, even their stock went down, and a lot of things like that. The security implication is it allows the risks of introducing unvetted updates into production. Now, let's say, for example, because of this, if other adversaries sees this issue, like, oh, if one update can cause a lot of systems to crash globally, that means we have to find a way to penetrate into using that vulnerability and then just make things bad, and then they can make money off it. So all of these are things that we should we as business owners should really look into. Companies like CrowdStrike should really look into. I see no reason why they should not have like proper a proper validation process. Go into testing, let it be staged, from one place to another. Don't just rush and just deploy something like, oh, like don't expect that, oh, because we're CrowdStrike. Like always make sure it goes in stages, and always make sure there's validation at every point, every point in time. So potential for indirect privacy breaches due to system failures, like things like this, just bring awareness things like this, just bring awareness to advisory that, oh, something like this is gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna make things worse to adversaries. Adversaries can, think of things. All right, so we go to recommendations for future prevention. I would say that let them have an enhanced testing and validation, like more rigorous, stress testing and validation before deployment. You just, say, oh, this is good, and just deploy. There should be stages. There should be stages like of moving from one stage to one or another. There should be like have sandbox, have places whereby you test. Don't you? Because everything we do, since it's a global product that we're dealing with it, and we already know that it will affect a lot of businesses, we should be very, very, very careful. I understand that you CrowdStrike want to be up to date on like, oh, any trade, but at the same time, it could affect a lot of businesses. It affected a lot of businesses. So I think that a more rigorous stress testing, validation should be done before deploying any code or any major updates, right? Now, also, I also recommend like implementing additional safety checks, especially in a critical update. So when you know that this update is really critical, have checks, right? Have checks to make sure that, oh yeah, everything is good, every line of the code is fine, this update is good to go. The other part is, staggered deployment. Deploy updates in stages to mitigate risks. Always have, always have, let it be stages, right? Let's not rush to do this. Have people test it, look into it, have experts within the department look into it, because you're dealing with, your product is a global product, right? You don't want advisories to just come from you due to your vulnerability, right? Now, another one, we've been monitor initial rollout closely before full deployment. Now, you all agree with me that all these updates happens in batches. It is our duty to make sure that we monitor it as it goes. We monitor it as it goes. Now, the last part will be improved error handling, right? Strengthening error handling mechanisms within, content interpreters, incorporate automated rollbacks mechanisms for, all these faulty updates. So when you have this faulty update, let there be like rollback, or like, oh, we've noticed this major update, it happened, it's down, go back to what you were doing before, and let it be let it be good to go. So, but it's very, very important that all of this is in place, so that all of these incidents. Yep. Okay. All right. So I would like to talk about the ethical considerations. Now we have there has to be privacy and security balance. Now, what this means is that when, for example, when CrowdStrike releases updates, to improve security, it must always like make sure that these updates do not disrupt like the normal functioning of the system they are protecting. In as much as we're releasing updates, should not disrupt the system that is already working in place. Now, it's not just enough to just like focus on like blocking threats, new threats. The update should always ensure, like also ensure that the system continue to run smoothly without causing any crashes, like or downtime. Now, the other point is addressing ethical implications of the system failure that affect large user base. What this means is when a system's update goes wrong and causes like millions of systems to crash, it's not just a technical problem, it's an ethical one too. The company needs to consider the impact on all of the people, the business that all these systems rely on. You know, ethical responsibility means just thinking about these failures that about how these failures like they did will affect lives and work of a large number of users. For example, someone might have an appointment to seal up a deal of maybe billions of dollars because they cannot fly from one place to another due to this update, due to airline canceling. It will affect, and that does not makes a lot of sense. Now, the last part I have here is, compliance and regulation, which is align update processes with legal and ethical standard to minimize risks. What this means is that companies must ensure that their updates, process flows follow laws and ethical guidance that govern their industries. This includes like, data protections law, industry standards, best practices, and, cybersecurity. By doing this, we will be able to like reduce risks of causing harms through updates and protect themselves from legal consequences. Because there's no way, I'm sure a lot of people are going to sue them for, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? In summary, it's important to find the right balance between, making our system secure, which is what we also learned in the course, making our system secure and also ensuring they keep running without any issues. Our company needs to consider how their actions, like pushing updates, might affect users on a large scale, and take responsibilities for any negative impact. Also on compliance and regulation, company must make sure their actions are not only technically sound, but also legally and ethically appropriate. Minimizing risks by following established laws. All right, this is my project. This is the end of my project presentation. I want to say the course has been wonderful. I've been able to, make some changes in my department due to this course that I took. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Uh, The final thought, my final thought, what just occurred to me is that we need to continuously improve cybersecurity practices. And like, because the way the world is going now, it's very important for everybody to like, go learning, keep seeing, keep updating themselves on knowledge and everything. Also, I want to, it's good, to encourage organizations to access their updates, how they make updates, their validation processes to avoid like similar incidents. Thank you very, very much. I mean, Oluwafemi Adeyeye.